So, Undertale, the Goat Parent Trap, Part 2. You drifted out of vague and comfortable dreams and into a now moonlit living room. Hugging Asriel like a fluffy goat pillow, you found the two of you had been covered in a soft quilt. Toriel must have walked by at some point, since the TV was off and Asriel hadn't woken you up by moving to reach it. Your nose felt a little cold. The air conditioner was still chugging along at full blast. She could have turned it down, but you've learned that goat monsters don't turn down the AC. Untangling yourself from the blankets and cuddles, you got a good look at Asriel. Head back, mouth open, he snored. Starlight shone off his little fangs. His ears dangled against the back of the sofa, the pink of their insides visible in the faint light. "Hey, come on." You took his warm hand in yours and tugged gently. "We gotta get to bed." The prince of all monster kind snorted, then went back to sleep.
Why? Why can't they just sleep on the couch?
Seems like a good plan, but... You tugged again. That just made him flop in slow motion to one side against the armrest. He would be super vulnerable to a tickle attack now. But that would be mean, since he wasn't in a position to tickle back. With a shake of your head, you grabbed him by one arm and dragged it over your shoulders. He made a noise like a door creaking open, followed by the quietest bleat against your neck. The quilt dangled from his shoulders like a king's cape made with sparkly periwinkle fabric. The back of it poked out a little bit where it draped over his fluffy bunny tail. As you hauled him along, he sort of help-walked. You headed towards your bedroom, then diverted to the bathroom. Little snail shell nightlights glowed in a line down the hallway, one at each electrical outlet. Toriel had made a zillion of them during a craft class at school. Once in the bathroom, which had its own snail nightlight, you squeezed some toothpaste onto toothbrushes, then stuck one in Asriel's hand. He mumbled and brushed his teeth on autopilot. You weren't sure if monsters could get cavities, but Toriel always made sure you both brushed your teeth. Maybe she just didn't want your breath to be gross. Either way, it made her happy. So you brushed your teeth in the almost dark of the bathroom, faint ripples of snail shell texture cast in light on the walls. After you had both rinsed and spit...
If there be big snails.
Yeah, true.
Well, if you've got a lot of
Wait,
them.
are they made of actual snail shells?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh,
From large ones.
Yeah.
One at each electrical outlet?
Yeah.
It's Toriel.
Well, you gotta be safe.
Yeah.
After you had both rinsed and spit, you dragged the faintly minty goat bro to your bedroom. The snail lights in the hallway glowed amber and pink, each one a little different, working together to guide you if you needed it. You changed into your PJs, which had frolicking cartoon goats on them. Then you dropped your clothes in the hamper, since keeping your room clean made Toriel smile and talk about what good children she had. It felt nice. Asriel, still wearing a blanket cape, tipped over into bed. Before rescuing him from the save, you had never slept in the same bed as somebody. Since then, you had never slept alone.
Oh, that's nice.
You had both died enough times that sometimes you'd have bad dreams, so it was nice to have somebody right there who would understand. It helped, too. You didn't have a lot of nightmares anymore, but you weren't going to complain about being cuddled by a soft, fuzzy monster who loved you. He was basically the best teddy bear. Except that time the AC broke. Then he was the worst. The bed springs squeaked in the quiet house as you climbed on. You curled up next to him. Ideas for getting Asgore and Toriel back together floated through your head. You could fix them. You always fixed things. Staring into the dark, you ran through plans in your mind. You couldn't just try everything and revert to a save anymore, so thinking would have to do. You just had to figure out the right things to do, and they'd be put back together again. A promise was a promise, after all, and you had promised to take care of the dreamers. Asriel, with far less on his mind, wiggled up close to you and rested his head on your chest. A happy sigh settled his body against yours as he nuzzled into your shoulder, like he did every night. Sometimes the fur on his ears tickled you, or his horns poked you. But his fur was soft and his horns weren't sharp. Curling your arms around him, you decided that life was pretty cool.
That is
As long as
so
the AC is on.
a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is you just a fussy Asriel on you.
Yeah, that's a great
I
description.
want that.
Yeah.
Well, he would get really hot.
I don't know.
It's just
They seem to be okay about it.
To get them back together. You kind of need to save because you can't mess up.
Yeah, but he can't save anymore, remember?
Yeah.
His save file is no longer reachable. The sun shone, birds chirped, humans and the occasional monster sat around or played frisbee in the downtown park. You led a panting goat bro to school on a day off. Carrying a paper bag, you tried not to whack the pastries inside against your knee as you walked. Asriel fanned the collar of his Nyan Cat t-shirt. He glared up at the burning orb in the sky. Why is the sun so hot? You touched your face. No sweat detected. It's not that hot. You're not covered in fur. He danced in place for a couple of steps, fists curled up by his chest. If it's like this all summer, I can see why humans are bald. We could always just shave your fur off. You shrugged. Dad has that electric trimmer for his beard. No way! His ears popped up half an inch in panic and wobbled as he backed away from you. I don't want to be bald! I'm joking! You really had been kidding. The goat parents wouldn't like it if you shaved their kid. You patted him on the shoulder. Then you caught a whiff of something sweet and smirked. What? His eyes locked onto you. The smirk got stronger, threatening to break into a laugh, but you resisted with all your might. Nothing. Just tell me! Stuffing his hands in the pockets of his purple shorts, he stomped along the grass, ears extra droopy. Maybe it'll distract me from how I'm melting. It's just kind of weird that you always smell like flowers now. By accident, you bumped the paper bag on a shrub. It poked a couple little holes in it, but the apple turnovers inside were probably fine. Always? He sniffed his arm. His white velvet nose wiggled like a bunny's. You nodded, resisting the urge to touch his snoot. Pretty much. His eyes widened with mild concern, just like that time he had found a leaf in his hair and you had to point out that it was from a bush you had climbed through. He rubbed his claws together. Do you think that means anything bad? No, everybody likes flowers. You had only met one obnoxious flower in your whole life. It would probably be mean to bring that up, though. You shrugged.
Yeah, you're kind of talking to the obnoxious flower right now.
It could be worse. You could smell like stinky socks or something. Gross! He bleated a little laugh and then pointed at his feet. I don't even wear socks! Yeah, but maybe we should get you flip-flops. Did flip-flops fit goat monsters? Some kind of sandal had to. Same thing happened whenever they tried to shop for hats. Sidewalks get kind of hot in the summer. The ground burns too? He looked with horror at the sidewalks waiting in ambush. Here in the middle of town, they had him surrounded. Why is the surface world trying to kill me?
Isn't he used to it from Hotlands?
I don't know.
I feel like
Maybe he figured that the surface world would be a little safer.
then the heat
I
wouldn't
feel like
really
goats
be
try
worse.
to Asgore and Toriel and Asriel try to kind of avoid Hotlands.
Across the street, monster kids scooted by on a unicycle. You waved, but weren't noticed. Not that a monster without arms could wave back, but you didn't cause a catastrophic unicycle crash. You did spot a yellow fanny pack on those snaky hips, which was new, and you weren't sure how they used it. You'd have to ask sometime at school. What's that kid's name, anyway? I don't know, actually. Having also waved in vain, Asriel lowered his paw. I thought you knew everybody. I thought you knew. You're his prince. You bumped him with your elbow. Unless his name is actually Monster Kid. Maybe Dad named him.
Yes, exactly.
His little white paw covered a giggling goat muzzle. Well, at least Monster Kid started wearing a helmet like Mom asked. He shrugged, and then turned to look at you. We should tell her. It makes her happy when people listen to her. You nodded. You should listen to me about learning to ride a bike. You snapped.
He doesn't know how to ride a bike.
Apparently not. You snapped your fingers and pointed at him to make it sound extra cool. Bikes are way faster than walking. He fiddled with the tip of his ear, half his muzzle squinched up in worry. What if I crash? Won't I get super hurt going fast? Everybody starts with training wheels. You put your arms out to the side to show how they wouldn't let you tip over. And we could put streamers on the handlebars. He tilted his head at you. His little poof of white hair blew in the breeze. What do streamers do? Sparkle, mostly. Being ambassador to monsters meant that you spent a lot of time explaining things humans never had to explain. They're like a bunch of plastic ribbons that you can get in any color. He watched a frisbee float by. Just one color? You rolled your eyes. We can probably find rainbow ones. Eyebrows in serious thinking position, he nodded. Okay, maybe. The two of you made it through the park without getting bonked by a frisbee or anything, even with a whole pack of dogs playing.
Oh boy.
The school came into view, making you feel like you should be wearing a backpack or other scholastic things. Maybe one of those graduation hats. You adjusted your...
Wear those to school.
Yeah. You adjusted your baseball cap, which fit just fine because you didn't have horns. As usual, you found Asgore in the school gardens. He was planting plants. He was also talking to plants, mostly about dirt, and he was carefully watering them with a snail-shaped watering can. He had bought 2 of them so he could have you give a matching one to Toriel for her birthday.
A new one.
She never asked where it was from, though she was curious how you had caused her old one to mostly stop existing. His gigantic body was crouched down, tail sticking out from the back of his Bermuda shorts. As you walked by, the king stood up and brushed the dirt off of his knees. Howdy, Sprouts! He hugged both of you at the same time with his gigantic arms. What brings you by? Asriel wanted to go for a walk in the sunshine. You kept your face blank. No! His muzzle dropped open a little as he looked at you in tired disbelief. We just wanted to see you! With a fond smile, the large goat nodded. Would you like a cup of iced tea? Asriel brightened, his tail springing back from wilting. Mm-hmm! Shaking your head, you smiled. You should really explain to him that iced tea comes in glasses, but it made him sound so fancy saying it that way. Nobody was around to see, but you still played it cool when your hand closed on a couple of big, furry fingers. His claws had dirt on them, but you didn't mind. You tried not to blush, since you still felt all jumbled inside by being able to just grab somebody's hand whenever. It felt good, just new. Asgore, like always, didn't make a big deal about it, though he smiled a little bit down at you. Asriel grabbed his other hand, grinning like a goofball. The 3 of you crossed the garden, where he was raising a whole army of onions. He led you past the flower beds and fruit trees, so colorful they looked like someone had chucked a bunch of paint sets on them. You rounded the school building. The greenhouse shone in the summer sunshine. It had a small cottage stuck on one side, which is where Asgore lived. Vines, apparently, yeah.
He lives at the school.
Vines
creeped all over it. Sometimes your ambassador assistant asked if it was normal.
Is this the same person
The
that
same
wrote
thing.
his duties? No,
No, that was
because
anonymous.
there was a cottage
Mhm.
school garden.
Yep. Nope.
Yep, nope.
Sometimes your ambassador assistant asked if it was normal for the king of monsters to live in a garden shed. You always just shrugged. Other ambassadors never complained that they were expected to meet in a greenhouse. Who didn't like nice plants? Still, they probably had noticed. Ambassadors were experts at noticing things and trying not to look weirded out. Going by that, you were a pretty good one. With a paw bigger than the doorknob was designed for, he led you into the cottage. A small air conditioner purred in one window. His crown and armor hung on a coat rack. His trident gleamed in a corner, little bits of dried dirt on the pokey bits. You had seen him till soil with it a couple of times. Still looked really sharp. You didn't touch it. A big glass jar with a tea infuser dangling in it sat on the microscopic kitchen table. Sunlight blasted in from the window, shining through the jar. Tiny curls of tea twirled in slow motion through the water. Asgore, being super strong, picked it up with one hand. You wandered over to his bookshelf. Half of it was gardening books. The other half was cookbooks with lots of notes stuck in them. He opened his freezer. Stacks of microwave dinners waited inside. He grabbed an ice cube tray and shut the door. How is your magic training going? Pretty good. Asriel hopped onto an Asgore-sized flower print armchair, which made him look even smaller than usual. The back of the headrest had holes poked in it, like someone with big horns had been falling asleep in it. Mom has me doing warm-ups. Ah, yes. With a twist of his powerful hands, he popped the cubes loose, then pinched them out. Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, but he's got all those cookbooks.
Yeah.
He has all what? All the cookbooks, and instead he's just got
Microwave dinners,
Where's
yeah.
all the cookbooks? Wait, that was half of the books on the bookshelf. Oh.
With a twist of his powerful hands, he popped the cubes loose, then pinched them out with his claws and dropped them into teacups. Still working with chicken croquettes? Chicken nuggets, Dad. He said the word extra slowly, like it was super exotic. Right, nugglets. He nodded and put the ice cube tray away. As in a small nugacity.
What?
You stared at him. Asriel also stared at him. From the Latin, nugax? At the silence, he did the same head tilt his son had used when encouraging you to understand some underground thing you'd never heard of. It means a frivolity. Meeting Asriel's eyes, he only shrugged at you. Sure, Dad. He sometimes worried that it wasn't healthy to be around a school all day. The smaller goat straightened his head fluff. The garden looks nice. Thank you, my child. He picked up the huge sun tea jar and poured delicately until all 3 cups were full. He didn't spill a drop. All this sunlight makes the plants grow quite fast. But my goodness, that wind. You set the bag of apple turnovers on the kitchen counter. Toriel had recently discovered turnover technology, which she had been using to make smaller and more mobile pies. This bag of them had been set aside but not talked about, which meant that they were supposed to go here. And you, Frisk? With a fond look, he handed you a cup of tea. No messing around with time lately? Nope. You took a sip. The tea tasted sweet and complicated. I think that was my only chance anyway. I don't know how he knew about it, but Sans told me, good job, and never do it again. He nodded, his beard shining like butterscotch as he padded into the little living room. Well, please tell me or your mom before you try anything like that again. Magic like that can cause quite a mess. You nodded. You nodded. Like the time Asriel got tie-dyed at school? You're just jealous because you're not good at soaking up dye. As his dad passed, the prince stuck his little pink tongue out at you, chuckling.
That's like the best idea ever.
What? How do you tie-dye someone?
How do you tie-dye Asriel?
You squirt tie-dye on
It's
him!
probably not
Soak
too
for a
hard.
little bit, wash it off, and his fur will be tie-dyed! I love it.
Wow.
I am definitely gonna
Do that when you encounter Asriel?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, add it to the
One time
list.
I tie-dyed Jeff's hair.
It didn't work.
Yes, it did. You washed it out.
Chuckling, Asgore carefully handed one of the iced teas to his son. The smaller monster took the cup in both paws and tipped it up to his muzzle. A comfortable silence filled the cabin. Wind danced through the flower beds outside. Cracks popped along the ice cubes in your teacups. So, you leaned against the sofa. Do you ever wish that you were back together with Mom?
Oh.
Asriel choked on his tea.
Better asking Asgore than Toriel.
Yeah, true.
The big goat's tail twitched, his eyes wide and on you.
Right.
After a moment, he sighed and looked out the window. He took a slow sip of tea. All the time. Ignoring how the smaller boss monster was glaring at you, you casually kept going. Why don't you ask her? Some plants take time to grow, even under the right conditions. On the windowsill, he nudged a tiny cactus out of the shade of another plant into a soft sunbeam. It's harder if the soil is wrong, or if they get overwatered. He sighed and stood, staring at the potted plant. Okay, Dad? You shrugged at Asriel. The younger monster rolled his eyes at you and took another drink. Quite a number of the plants I've tried to grow up here were battered by the wind. He looked really far into the distance, past the swing sets. Even after I learned to tie them to sticks or shield them with buckets, it took a great deal of time and care for those plants to recover. His talk was going nowhere. You looked to Asriel and flipped a hand back and forth between yourself and Asgore's back, psychically urging him to help. Your dad was always going on about plants when you were trying to talk about serious stuff. The smaller monster ignored you and watched his dad instead. The older monster reflected on the window. Some plants don't grow well in gardens at all. Sometimes you have to be content with seeing them in the wild. He straightened his Hawaiian shirt. In my long life, I have learned that you just have to try your best and hope that things will take root. Getting something to blossom is a matter of patience, hard work, and not being too proud to admit when you make mistakes. Do you understand what Asgore is saying?
Yes.
Yeah, Frisk doesn't. The goats got all starry-eyed and quiet. You didn't want to rain on their garden parade, so you hushed up. Plants were cool, you guessed, so it would be rude to butt into the moment that they were having, even if you weren't getting answers to how to fix up the goat parents. The desire to ship Torigor filled you with determination. Good thing the dreamers had you around, because they could be kind of oblivious.
Torigor?
Yeah,
Is that their name?
apparently.
Okay.
After a long silence, staring at his own reflection, Asgore cleared his throat. More tea? You three finished your iced tea. The huge goat monster packed up 2 grocery bags of leaf lettuce and yellow squashes, including both the UFO and bowling pin-shaped squashes. He handed them off for you to carry home.
Wait, what kind of squash?
I don't know. Bowling pin ones, I know.
Yeah.
UFO ones, I don't know.
Probably the flat kind.
Maybe. He sent fruits and veggies home with you a lot. Toriel never asked where they came from. She just made them into pies. Well, pies, and now turnovers. With that...
Put lettuce and squash.
Lettuce?
I don't know, but it's
Like
probably
dinner
not.
pies.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're
Let's
probably
assume the
expecting-
fruits are going into the
Well,
the pies.
and the rest are lettuce turnovers.
And now that she has turnover technology, she can make that too.
Or maybe the lettuce is the outside. That
Oh.
probably wouldn't work.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
With that, he hugged you goodbye. Make sure you're home before dark. He stayed kneeling on one knee, at eye level with you two. Don't make your mother worry. His voice seemed sad, but his eyes crinkled like he was happy. Adults were weird. Asriel nodded. Then he went in for an extra hug. You wanted to stay and try to talk about Toriel again, but the small goat took you by the arm and towed you back through the gardens. You think maybe Asriel knows what's going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Poor Frisk, he's the only oblivious one here. Once you were off school grounds, you grumbled. Well, that didn't work. All he did was talk about plants a bunch. Giving you a tired look, Asriel slung the bag of fruits and veggies over his shoulder. So, we gotta go back to my plan where you're on my shoulders and we pose as Mom. You figured you could wear some bunny slippers and fool Asgore from far away. That just left Asriel. Maybe you could make horn extensions out of printer paper. Hey, what's your best disapproving mom expression? The small monster looked at
For a
you.
note that says she likes him.
What?
For a note that says she likes him.
Well, what, for the printer paper?
No, I mean, like, if he's gonna have a disapproving mom expression, but she's leaving a note that says she likes him.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe just, vaguely disappointed looking Toriel. What's your best disapproving mom expression? The small monster looked at you. Wow, that's the one! You patted him on the back. You didn't even have to practice! You walked up the front steps of your house, followed by a small goat monster. In the driveway, Toriel checked her mirrors and backed into the street, heading off to a parent-teacher conference. The benefit of having both your parents work at the school was getting to skip those. She gave the two of you one last glare of warning before she motored away. You poked a wilted potted plant with your toe. The plan had not gone as planned. At all. It probably needed some more business meetings. Asriel squirmed. Wow, Mom got really mad back there. She was mad at us, though. You had seen Toriel way angrier than that, but knowing you had upset her still left you feeling twisted up tight inside. There had to be a way to make it better. Your eyes flicked to your best friend, hoping that he'd give you a clue. So, that's something.
Did you try it?
Without a word, Asriel turned around and trudged inside. He took off his mom's bathrobe, which had been dragging like a gown since he got off of your shoulders. You grabbed it and hung it up. Then you kicked off her bunny slippers under the bed where you had found them. The plan had not gone very well, but you remained determined. The small goat monster sighed. Well, at least that's over. He padded into the living room and turned on some cartoons. So, you opened your notebook on the coffee table. I took some notes on the drive home.
Oh boy.
He gave you a really tired look, but by then you had the tie back on, and it was too late. Frisk, no! He stretched out a paw. The notebook tried to fly out of your hands, but you yanked it back down, stronger than his magic. You cleared your throat. Note number 1. Mom doesn't say howdy. I had to improvise. Arms spread, he flopped back against the couch. You said to act casual. That was too casual. You flipped over the next page like it was a business slideshow.
Which it was.
Note number 2. Like Dad said, we should have stuffed some pillows under the robe. His fluffy head tilted back against the couch padding. Yeah, but Mom looked at him really weird when he said that. Look, we don't need a ton of pillows under there. I'm just thinking like 2 or 3.
I didn't know. I tried it again.
No, it's just they're explaining why it didn't go right, and apparently Toriel didn't look fat enough. Yeah.
Oh.
And so when Asgore said that was the problem, she gave him a really funny look. You continue to the next page. And here you see a crab holding a balloon. I thought it was cute. Glancing over, he studied the drawing for a second and then nodded in agreement. You flipped another page. Note number 3. We're going to have to learn to copy Mom's handwriting better. The goat summoned the remote control to his paw and turned up the wacky sounds of the cartoon. That probably meant the meeting was over. Dropping the notebook on the table, you sighed and sat down on the floor. It stinks that we can't just go back to a save. Yeah, but Mom and Dad love us. He didn't even look away from the TV, but his expression got less grumpy. You looked at him. Yeah, they do. That's good. But a save is what would help us here. He wiggled on the sofa, getting comfy. Right, but having them love us sort of works like a save. You watched him, waiting for an explanation. With a look like you were telling a bad joke, he lifted the remote and turned off the TV without even looking at it. You know, 'cause it'll reset. You kept looking at him. Sometimes this worked.
I feel like Asriel is like understanding more things than Frisk.
I think you might be right. Frisk! He dragged a palm down his face. They love us! He threw his arms to the side, his 2 long sleeves fluttering past his blunt claw tips. They won't be mad forever. In a while, it'll almost be like it never happened. So it's kind of like a save. Interesting. You stroked your chin. Okay, since love is like a save, we can keep trying until we fix them. Asriel tipped his head back with a groan. Come with me. His fluffy paw closed around your hand and dragged you over to the hallway. He crouched down, tugging your arm so you crouched down too. You squatted next to each other like in some kind of boy band poster. What are we doing? We are looking at the snail lights. Okay. Eyes narrow, you glanced at him. How come? He opened his paw toward them. They're off. Well, yeah. You looked from the lights to the goat. It's daytime. Right, because we don't need them right now. It would waste energy. You nodded, not sure where this electricity talk was going.
Chris doesn't understand analogies.
And when it's dark... He poked a finger over the sensor just under the snail shell. The bulb inside flicked on, glowing pink. Then they come on. Because we need them at night. Right? His hopeful smile melted into weary sarcasm. Frisk, not to be mean, but how did you even save the underground? You shrugged. I had a lot of chances. You nodded, half smiling. That makes sense. A moment passed. You still didn't get it. I guess I'm a double doofus with cheese. You smiled a little at him. Want to just spill the secret sauce? The little goat let out a gigantic sigh. You don't need to fix everything and everybody all the time. He pointed at the window, at the sunshine on the squirrel chowing down at the bird feeder. When things are nice, you can just sort of be around and ready. A little bit of sadness tightened in your throat. I promised you I'd take care of them. And you do, when things are bad. That's the nighttime part. He stuck his finger over the sensor, turning on and off the nightlight. He did this a few times, then a bunch of times, looking at you the whole time. You stopped his paw. I get it. So you'll chill out? He tilted his head at you, floppy ears swinging a little. I'm asking because humans are super full of determination, and you're twice as full as a regular human. Do you promise? The goat monster raised his pinky finger at you. He was really picking up on surface world stuff. You hooked his pinky with yours. Promise. A big smile broke out across his small muzzle. He stood and helped you up by the pinky. Letting go, you patted him on the back. You're pretty good at this, Asriel. Thanks. I'm trying not to turn into a soulless murder flower again. He said it really seriously. You nodded, also very serious. Those leaf green eyes meeting yours, he struggled to be even more serious than you. His fluffy tail, however, bounced. That tiny motion made you snort. Then he did too. Then you were both laughing. As the tension from a long day broke, you cracked up until he had to wipe tears from his eyes. Once you had pretty much gotten control of yourself, you hugged the fluffy goat monster. Thanks. Sure. He hugged back. That poof of head fluff brushed against your cheek. You keep meaning to show him the Lion King, since Simba has the same hairstyle, but you're worried that he'll cry at the Mufasa part. With a deep breath, you thought about the next important thing to do in your life. Come on! I've got a cool video game to show you.
That's
You-
the next important part.
Yeah. You took him by the arm and headed back to the living room. You play as psychic kids who use baseball bats to fight haunted appliances. Nice!
What is that game?
I don't know, but it sounds pretty awesome. As he sat down and grabbed a round gray game controller, his smile shone up at you. His little white tail had fluffed up with happiness. But don't tell Mom. She's already pretty suspicious of the microwave.
Oh no.
You sat down beside him and swapped the Player One controller into his paws. Toriel and Asgore had been broken up for a century. Maybe expecting them to get back together right away was too much. Your plan did bring them together to tell you not to try to bring them together, though. And they had had a talk while you two were in the car. They had exchanged phone numbers.
So it is like the Parent Trap.
Yeah. They had exchanged phone numbers.
They sort of got together.
That had taken thousands of years the first time. Asgore even made her laugh, just for a moment, when he showed her the note that you had left.
What's the note? Oh,
How much she likes him or something.
well, probably just like the bad handwriting.
Maybe all of that was good enough. Maybe you didn't have to spend every second fixing the world. Maybe you just had to trust the people in your world. Maybe this video game had better graphics when you weren't crying. As Asriel navigated the game's opening menu, you hugged his shoulders. Without a pause, he leaned into the hug. A newly familiar feeling glowed in your chest. You had 3 goat monsters who loved you, who wanted you to be happy. And you loved them. Having it finally sink in that you could just be happy with them, the happiest you had ever been, filled you with determination. And that is the end.
That's the end?
It is the end.
Yeah. I
Well,
can always tell when
I
a
still
story's-
would like to know when they're how the plan.
I can always tell when a story's ending.
how the plan went?
No, but like.
Yeah, badly. So yeah, a note that said, I like you and I want to get back together with you. Yeah.
That would have been great.
And if a Chris doesn't
You
get
can
it
only
now,
imagine
he's
what
like, oh.
Asgore thought when he saw the 2 of them toddling along in Toriel's bathrobe, and then Asriel saying, "Howdy!"
I thought he was just gonna leave the note when Asgore could see it.
Yeah.
That would
I
be-
wonder if he used his most disapproving mom.
That'd be great if he was like,
Hoi! I looking disapproving. He was just looking like that in the first place.
Mhm. That's a good bit of writing right
I
there.
love it.
It just says the goat monster looked at him. Wow, that's it, said Frisk.
Exactly.
Yep.
He was disapproving of that plan.
Yes, I think this. So one of the things I like about these two stories is that Frisk is obviously super determined, but is also
like 6.
yeah, well, maybe not 6,
8.
but doesn't necessarily have the best plans all the time.
Asriel is more mature.
At least Asriel is more perceptive of
He's had more
social
experience
things.
with life.
Well, that's possible
Also,
too.
wait,
Well, maybe.
He is an ex-obnoxious flower.
Yeah.
He did have like years of being a flower.
Yeah, if that let him pick up on social cues.
Probably a lot from Sans.
Well, they should have like had an actual Parent Trap type plan. Like in the Parent Trap, they like get them to meet at a hotel.
Mhm.
But like they should have had like a big
Like, get
plan
them.
that involved them to meet somewhere.
I was thinking you could make them both give them both a note that said, like, there's a parent meeting at the school, and both parents have to be there, and then there's nobody else.
Hmm.
And they're just like,
It's like the snail one.
Maybe
What?
instead of watching
Yeah.
romance movies, they should have watched the Parent Trap movies and
Yeah.
gotten some ideas from
And
that.
The Lion King.
That would have been a great idea.
They should have watched The Lion King too.
No, Israel would have been sad.
Yeah.
He would have cried.
I haven't watched The Lion King, but I know some things.
Yeah.
Everybody knows things. I haven't watched any of the movies you're supposed to watch, except Star Wars.
And The Parent Trap.
Anyway, oh yes, The Parent Trap is
is
good.
this
I
the
do
end
like
of
The
the
Parent
series,
Trap movie.
Daddy?
I'm sorry?
Is this the end of the series?
This is the end of the series. This
Aw.
story was written in 2017.
What?
Almost 3 years to the day.
But doesn't the author know
The author does know.
that we're mad?
Mad?
No, because
No, I don't. I
You
don't.
sounded really
Somehow I
mad.
thought that he might have thought you enjoyed it.
No, I'm not mad
Oh.
at this. I'm mad that this is the end of the series.
Oh, I
I
see.
think there needs to be another.
Is it the end of the series?
No,
Well,
definitely not.
at the
He's
moment
writing
it
another
is.
thing right
I mean,
now,
that's
as of
like
when
saying
he's
that-
hearing it. He
Um,
just got another idea for a story right now, and he's about to write it.
Yeah.
Wow.
The,
maybe you should write a story.
This is in the future. I am already writing a story with Emily, and it's her turn. Finally,
What'd you say? This is in the future? This
Yeah, when
recording
he's
is now in
listening
the.
to it.
Oh, wow.
because
okay.
he hasn't listened to
This
it.
is becoming a very meta discussion of this recording.
Well, what did you want?
I don't know.
Video game talk?
Happy ending. POV second person. Illustrated. Oh yeah, it had the
It was
picture.
second person. Both of these are second person. That's a really interesting way to tell a story.
Yeah, it's cool.
Especially when it's not like actually like a narrator doing things. Like if it was like narrator Undertale type thing, that would sort of make sense. But like if you don't have that and you're just using that mechanic of storytelling for no reason, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
'Cause
Cute.
almost nothing
Goat
is
mom
written in
is
second
best
person.
mom. Canon universe. Adorable. Post canon. Family. Family feels. Hijinks and shenanigans. Friendship. Point of view Frisk. Furry. Hugs. Fix it. Post canon fix it. Everybody lives.
Wait a minute.
There you go.
Why did Frisk not pull Kara out of the save?
If they're sort of the same person.
Well, remember the
right.
author's interpretation is that Frisk is more or less a reincarnation of
Frisk
Kara.
acts like Frisk.
What?
I think there should be a Kara.
I feel
that
like
is
if
not
Kara was, if Frisk was a reincarnation of Kara and Kara was there, they might pick up on analogies.
Well, and I think you'd have
That is
to.
most likely true.
You would really complicate the story if at this point
You added.
it's like, oh, by the way, what about Kara, who we never talk about ever? We should do something about them.
Yes, that is the third sequel. I told you he just came up with an idea. That
You know,
was it.
dear, Asgore and I have never talked about Kara in your presence, but in fact we miss them dearly. We just never say so.
Frisk.
Frisk.
Okay. Boom. Runs to the underground. Finds
Save file is gone.
Jumps in the doom hole.
What?
Kara is
That-
in the doom hole.
The first word is doom. It's not time travel hole. I mean, we don't know, to be honest, but
reaches into the doom hole, pulls Kara out, blows this doom hole up.
look,
And, like, pulls out anybody else. who
reaching
might be,
into
like,
the
gas.
doom hole would be like sticking the flower pot spout in the doom hole. You reach in your arm doesn't
Yeah,
come
but-
back.
But the flower pot couldn't pull itself out. I mean, the flower...
I'm pretty sure it just got sliced.
Come on.
Freak have determination. It's fine.
Determination doesn't undo
Taz,
slices.
determination can beat doom holes.
I don't think
You
doom
want story
holes.
ideas? I have.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Look,
The
he
doom
doesn't
hole
have to
does
say-
represent the only link to the
Where
save
did the
file.
Toriel go?
It just poofed away.
Oh man, that should show up.
Yikes.
Like they go back to the internet
now
and
they got
randomly they
Tor-
just hear some yelling.
Oh,
So
dear.
so Toriel isn't live. There's almost
Wait!
certainly Temmie's around. And then there's Temmiel also.
Do humans want pies?
Oh dear.
Does humans like butterscotch or cinnamon?
The relationship tags in this story do say Asgore / Toriel.
Ooh.
So I think, and there's also an Asgore and Toriel. So, ampersand.
Yeah.
So in Archive of Our Own, ampersand means, a relationship of some kind. / means romantic relationship.
Aha.
So I think
Perfect.
I think we are maybe not getting the full / in this story.
Yeah.
Therefore, we need the full slash.
That's the next sequel. That
Yeah.
was. It comes after the Kara comes out of the doom hole.
So the slashing.
Sure.
Alright, so the next story is titled Kara comes out of the doom hole.
Wait, look, do you want a slash or do you want a Kara? Oh, are you going to find some way to do both?
I want
Yeah.
and
Kara
then
brings
slash.
the two of them back
Look,
together
at
again.
least Toriel and Asgore exist and they're both happy.
Yes, it's true. Well,
So
yeah, I
Kara,
mean,
and then and Kara can see. Now I'm just picturing an 8-year-old Kara who's coming up with parent trap plans that are just as bad.
Oh, dear.
mhm.
But like,
Slightly better.
okay.
So then
Anyway,
there's 3 of them, so they could be taller if their Toriel didn't work.
Oh, that's
out
true.
tall enough.
that's true.
They're
I think the height might have been okay.
maybe.
He didn't take a note on that.
What?
I love how
Might
it's just
not
like, and
be.
here's a picture of a crab with a balloon. I thought that was
Oh, yeah. I like that. Well, he took some notes and then he took a little break. Asriel apparently approves
How
of
do
the
you draw a
drawing.
crab holding a balloon?
Just the way you would think, frankly.
Anyway,
So yeah, there's 2 sequels.
we approve of
planned,
the
I'm
story
sure.
and we just helped you out with some ideas. And I told you that in the future, when you're hearing this, you just thought of some ideas for stories.
No, they're already
And
writing
so
it.
it's a good, yeah. So by the time you hear the recording of us listening to your comments on this recording, you will be writing a story.
Wow.
That's how this works. Look,
Yeah.
He's not gonna finish it for like a year because there's a year gap in between these two.
Yeah.
well,
I could,
say that, or that'll give him too much time to work.
should I wait to post this like a
No.
month or two to give a head start on the writing?
No, because he's getting inspiration from what we're saying now.
And
But
then-
you said that he's already in the process of writing it.
No, I said already as of when he's listening to this, which is in the future.
Yeah.
so
But in the
sooner you
future, he's
post
getting
it-
the ideas, so it has to be more in the future when the writing takes
Daddy,
place.
No,
Yeah.
maybe he pauses the thing. when it first gets-
Oh, he paused the recording.
No!
I see. All right, wait a minute. Let's give a moment for a pause. Please, pause here and begin your writing.
Insert commercial
Wait, no,
break.
we have to wait. Pause here. All right, thank you. Welcome back. How's the story going?
No, I'm saying so in the future when you post this. So if you post this tonight, then tonight may be in the future if he listens to it then.
Tonight will be in the future.
Yeah.
I guarantee that
So
much.
whenever you post this and he listens to it is when I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And that
then-
is when he will start thinking, oh, they really liked my stories and my artwork. I think I should write something else.
Wait,
Maybe I should give them what they want.
Oh yeah, that one.
See, okay, so we have a very bad track record of authors not liking to write the things that
No,
we
right.
desire. So maybe you will be the first author to think, oh,
my
I should
goodness.
actually do that.
Now you're just buttering him up.
I'm just
The
saying.
poor guy.
History
He
here.
just wanted to write a sweet little story
I know what I got.
about a parent trap, and now he's got time-traveling children who are
Parent trap,
twisting his arm with sob stories about how nobody listens to them and writes anything that they like.
Hey,
But
I
maybe
didn't say
now
I didn't like
he
it. I said that
will be the first one to take pity on you and
not
write
what I
a
said.
story. That's how I recall
other
it.
Stories.
Let's rewind this record. Oh, I can't.
No, I
It's
do
being
like,
made live. I
do
can't
like other
rewind it.
stories. I'm just saying
Good.
that we have ideas, and most authors do not take those ideas.
Well, that's how you become an author yourself.
That's what I'm already doing, and it's know the story.
Well, this is a new story that.
Okay.
So okay,
Oh,
great.
write
So
another
you're gonna
story?
no, you write. You can write the unofficial sequel
No.
to
This is his story
Goat
series.
Bro Redux: The Fluffening Asriel Returns series.
Besides, I'm not sure how good actually. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're more of an ideas woman rather than an actually do it woman. Is that how it goes?
let's see. So the first story is Frisk pulls Kara out of the doom hole, and the second story.
Why is Kari in the doom hole?
Why is Kara in the doom hole?
I don't know that. Catherine said that part. I didn't get any explanation. But then
Kari get in the doom hole. That is a good
the second.
Nobody's listening to this recording, by the way.
We can say whatever.
Everybody has long
Alright,
since
please
clicked
listen
on the
on,
other
like-
videos on the sidebar of YouTube, and they're now watching Tom Scott videos or something.
Bob Ross painting.
Oh, I'd watch that.
The lads
And
and
then
happy
Bob Ross
trees
paints an
here and
Asriel
then
picture.
Wow, I would definitely watch that.
we'll just add a little happy horse.
Unfortunately,
and
Bob Ross's
little
time
bugs.
was before Asriel,
Yeah.
so I'm afraid he did not paint.
Okay, so the second story is
That's sad.
like when the parents actually get back together.
Yeah.
And so maybe they
So
both go
combine
to
them.
school for a parent meeting. And it turns out the parent meeting is the two parents meeting, and not like a parent meeting where your kid did something bad, so the teachers
It's
need to
like
talk to you.
parent
Yeah, okay,
meetings
but what's
that-
going to stop them from getting there and saying, oh, hello, Tori.
Because
I
Kara is
think
there.
there's
They're
a-
surprising them because they brought Kara back.
Wow.
Sure.
So it's like an empty gymnasium, and the two
And
parents
Kristen,
walk
Asriel,
in.
and Kara.
And then there's just
Oh, are they
and
like
then,
on the stage? Oh, okay. So like the lights go down, and a voice
Oh,
that's
boy.
unseen begins speaking over the loudspeaker and saying, "Asgore and Toriel, direct your attention to the front." And the curtains
No,
of
they
the
just-
stage
they just
go
walk
up
in.
slowly.
Oh boy.
And there's
No,
a
they
doom
just.
hole.
They
Why
just
am I writing this story? I'm not writing
No,
this
no,
story.
they just. It's like parent meeting, and they leave.
Yeah,
And then they come.
it's in the gym,
yes,
which is also
and then
where you can have plays and stuff.
they walk
on stage.
into the gym, and
I don't know why I'm helping you.
Frisk and Asriel are there, and Kara, and they're just like.
Oh, so they
Toriel
do.
is like,
So they're doing the
"Come
plan where Kara just shows up and they just wait for them to notice.
on."
Hi, Mom, Dad. Me and Frisk and Kara
Oh.
are hungry. Did you bring any snacks? Oh, yeah, Kara. Did I say Kara? Yeah, here's Kara. Kara's hungry.
Oh boy.
because she spent so long in the doom hole with only a Temiel to make fun. Wait, is the Temiel in the doom hole?
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Temiel disappeared.
I think you're losing the track of the.
Are you saying Kara got really hungry in the doom hole? She could have ate the. Never mind.
I'm saying that it's a good thing nobody's
Kara
listening
is
to this.
just like in the black thing, and then she sees this hole, and there's this napkin that comes in. And it's like, look at this doom hole, and she's just
Okay, I
like.
definitely think you're in the weeds now of the details, and I think you've kind of lost the big picture.
Well, if you
I'm not
want to
entirely
change
sure what the big
Temiel-
picture was, but whatever it was, I don't think it involved Temiels and napkins and doom holes.
Look, you know me.
Yes, I do.
love to-
Or maybe it's like the
I love to
continuation.
introduce. Look, if you don't have Asriel or Kara in a story, if you don't have one of them, then that doesn't
Will?
change. Add a sequel with them in it.
What
So
if they're both dead?
You want to make a story that we're gonna like. I don't know, give a
Or you
standing
have-
ovation to and cheer for like
Alright.
10 minutes. Make a story that's like get all of the ideas, put them together.
alright.
Right?
Well,
Your
I'm
fun
sure the
style.
author is waiting with bated breath to find out what your reactions are going to be and whether you give him a standing 10-minute ovation. So, yeah, by all means,
Well, we just gave him
continue
10
to
minutes
tell
of-
what would be required for that to happen.
No, I mean like you have a saving Asriel and save Kara, and I love that like Asriel is like furry and soft, and that's great. I love how Frisk is just like loving how soft Asriel is in the entire story.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have that, and then you also
Who
have
wouldn't?
Kara, and then they're happy, and Toriel and Asgore can get back together.
And then Frisk can play with Kara's ears.
What?
Oh, is that not a thing?
Yikes!
Like flicking them with his finger.
And they all have a happy thing, and they're a big deal.
Okay, 10 minutes,
Or
standing
even-
ovation. Is that what you've promised?
We didn't.
You've never, I don't
You
think
kind
you've,
of suggested
we haven't gotten
that,
any. I didn't suggest it. That's what Catherine said.
You
No,
did?
I
She said, if you want a standing ovation of
that was
10
an
minutes,
example.
But listen, I mean,
Is that another word for lie?
no. I am saying, if you take all of the ideas that we have said in various stories
Yes,
and put
and
them together,
Oh, wow.
And we'll have
very
like 5 Asriels.
It's
and a couple
true.
Karas. Also,
No.
Yes, I'm not
Well,
sure
then
all your
Asriel's
story
like
ideas are
irrigation.
compatible.
Look, 2 Asriels and a Kara would be a little interesting. 2 Karas and an Asriel would be a horrible idea.
No, you'd have like 5 Asriels and 2 Karas.
Maybe you should find some author you can commission, like an artist or
Well, then we'd
something.
have to pay.
Yes. Oh, I see.
Let's do one of those fanfiction trading.
So you want poor
Emily will write a story where Undyne dies again, and then comes back.
So what you're
this
asking
time.
is for the
And then
long-suffering
that'll write
TempoWrites
Catherine.
to write you a story for free, sequel of this one, for
Well, doesn't
which...
he want us to like his stories? Well, we do, and we want more. That's a compliment.
Right, we'll like him more.
Yeah, but I mean, won't you just
All
continue
right,
to
hey
want
Emily,
more?
if he writes more stories, here, let's make an offer for every time one of these authors that we talk to and you read writes us a story because we asked. Then Emily will write them a short fan fiction, probably featuring Undyne. And yeah, come on.
Are you authorized to promise things
Yes.
on Emily's behalf?
And if
Promising my fries.
And if
that
it's
Claire
really,
can
really,
have
really
some
good, then if it's really, really, really good, then maybe they can like put in a request about Emily's fanfiction.
My fanfiction's probably not that good.
Oh, so if an author writes you a story, then they have the right to request their own inserted character into Emily's stories?
Yes.
Is that how
No,
it
and
goes?
Emily will write a short fanfiction. Go check out.
Well, that's
Fly
very
Guy
generous
Wizards.
of you,
Go
Emily.
check out Fly Wizards' page.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
are you
advertising?
Yeah, I'm advertising Emily's story. This is what I have to do to get Emily to write them stories.
Is it?
Okay, at any given
Yes.
time, she's working on like 10 fanfictions.
Thank you for the comments.
She can write it in like one day.
This has been part 2 of Undertale, The Goat Parent Trap,
Right,
written
another
by
story.
TempoWrites.
Right, and sorry. Also, we approve of the fan art. I want a fuzzy Asriel that lies.
We're
on
probably
him.
not recording anymore.
You just like it's an
Maybe
Asriel, and you
not.
can just like squish
Maybe
his
not.
ears, and then he's just like a fuzzy, and then it's a big teddy bear, and you can cuddle up, and it's like a fuzzy.
Yeah,
Asriel
it's the
always
best.
fuzzy. That sounds good.